Welcome on in, it's Victor and Matt from the 110 Sports Podcast, back for another video blog. And Victor, on this one we wanted to discuss James Harrison, linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, had some controversial statements last week regarding Roger Goodell. What do you kind of give us a little bit of a backstory of the whole comments if someone hasn't heard it?
Well, last week it was reported that in next month's Men's Journal magazine, James Harrison made comments about Roger Goodell using a homophobic slur, also using the phrase that if he was on fire, he wouldn't piss to put him out.
Yep.
A controversial photo as well as with two guns across his chest. So overall, not a good thing for the NFL image.
Yeah, I mean, and there were a couple of things there that actually were fairly intelligent comments that he made, but for the most part, everyone is going to focus on the ridiculousness of the comments he made. So let's kind of just discuss those. Do you think moving forward, should the league suspend him once the lockout's lifted? What can they really do to him?
Well, I think it's tough because technically he's not employed by the NFL right now, but I think that because he has had run-ins in the past and he has called out Roger Goodell, I think it's important for the Steelers to maybe step in and say, hey, this is not what we want in our organization. We're going to either maybe not cut him, maybe suspend him, and if that doesn't happen, maybe the NFL comes in and says, hey, we don't really like what you did, we're going to suspend him. But I think, in my opinion, for James Harrison, a suspension is necessary to prove a point.
You know, I said this months ago when we were talking about the NFL draft, and I'll say it again. It's a good little, cliche or whatever. The NFL can't have their cake and eat it too, Victor.
No, and that's kind of where I'm torn all this part. And
also, I'm going to use another analogy. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens during the lockout should stay in the lockout, in my opinion. And I think Pittsburgh, if they want to, they can cut them. But I don't think the NFL, because it's in a lockout, they can't go back and suspend them or fine them anything. And I just think that's because the NFL lockout. There's going to be some things the NFL is going to have to give up because they can't get along for these last few months. And I think this is one of them.
No, and I think that's a great point. While I feel that they should suspend him, I'm kind of on that side of the fence with you on the side of, I don't think that the NFL should have the right, but I think the Steelers need to step in, the Rooney's need to step in and say, hey, well, this is not what we want. This is your last strike. Maybe cut him, suspend him. If he keeps it up, cut him. And he may find himself in a position where he may not be wanted on another team because of his off-field actions.
And one analogy, though it's not a perfect one, was that I told you if you, went out this Saturday night, because you go out every Saturday night, and you punched a guy right in his face and got in a big altercation, and then a month later, ESPN calls you for some unknown reason and wants to hire you. And then a couple weeks into your new job, they say, hey, what happened, a few months ago when you punched some guy? We're going to suspend you. You say, I wasn't even employed by you guys. Technically, these guys aren't employed by the NFL.
That's a very good point.
And that's why I say Harrison should not be fined or suspended. But Victor, it was fun doing another video blog. We're going to be back this Wednesday, July 20th, with a brand new podcast. We've got longtime ESPN personality and journalist Bob Ryan on the show. So a ton to talk to him about. We'll also get his thoughts on this topic. So we'll see you this Wednesday on 110sportspodcast.com. Take care.